Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Press Box. John Carter, and I'm here with the girls basketball team, Coach Mike Bullard, Mia Jansen, Juliana Cataldo, and Alexa Rutledge. And Mike and girls, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, Mike, how many years now have you been coaching for this team?
This is my third year as the varsity girls coach.
So, what's kind of changed for you, and now as you're getting more experience with this group?
I think I'm a little easier as a coach. I'm not as tough. I still demand, but I've learned how to adapt and how to get the most out of my players, I think.
What has changed in your coaching philosophy since when you started, say, and as you got more experience with girls basketball?
I've just realized that girls are actually tougher than boys, but as a coach, I think I'm a little bit softer and tend to care a little bit more about them. So I've tried to limit the contact at practice.
Okay.
A little bit.
So you've got an interesting mix here. The three here are obviously senior co-captains, have been starters for 3 years, but you've got another four senior starter with Savannah Green, but you've also got kind of a lot of younger and less experienced players. How's that kind of worked out with you this year?
Well, these three have done a great job of leading by example. They're not necessarily the most vocal of captains, but they do a good job of leading by example, and that is kind of translated and trickled down to the other girls. They kind of see what it takes and how hard you need to play. You don't necessarily have to be the most talented, but you need to bring it every night as far as your attitude and your want.
So what are some of the strengths of your team this year, do you think?
I think some of our strengths are obviously our three guards, but we have 5 seniors on the team, but I have 7 players that have returned. And my guards are my strength.
Okay, yeah. And you kind of had an interesting schedule this year. Probably not the easiest schedule to start out with. Port Huron Northern is actually, I think, ranked in the state now in Class 1. They beat a very good Dakota team last night, and they're in the MAC Red. And then you started with 3 other Class A schools. What is that strength of schedule you think helped your team be like as you got here into the league?
Well, I think starting off with Port Huron Northern, obviously they've been the class of the area for a long time. That just got us to show that we can compete with schools like that. Yes, the score said that we lost by a lot, but the first quarter was a 3-point game. The second quarter was an 11-point game. They kind of ran away with it in the third quarter, but that showed that we can compete. We're almost to their level, but still need where we need to go. And then we played Anchor Bay, and we spotted them a lot of points. We made a furious comeback, ended up losing by 2, another Class A school. Then we played Port Huron, which is a really talented, aggressive. They really know how to play. I mean, they're talented. They're young, and they beat us by 9. But all of those games, we showed that we could compete. And then we got into our first league game in Marysville. They played us tough. We pulled that out. I think those first 3 games really helped us with that. Then we went up to SC4 and we played L'Anse Creuse North, which is another big school, good school. They got talented freshmen up on the varsity. And again, we spotted them points, so we were playing from behind, which obviously we're learning is much more difficult to do. And then but I think it did help us last night in our league.
And last night you beat Centerline, right?
Yep, last night we played Centerline, and it was a close game in the first half, and then we just kept doing what we wanted to do. We kept playing defense. We knew that the shots would fall in the second half, and they did, and we pulled away in the end.
If you could come up with like a one thought as an identity you want for this team as you go through the season, what would that be?
That whenever we play, teams are going to know that they played us.
Okay.
That's regardless, win or lose, they're going to know that they played us.
Okay. So girls, let's talk to you a little bit. Start with you maybe, Alexa. So tell me how you got started playing basketball.
I've been playing ever since I could walk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, always been in the gym. My dad was a coach when I was younger, so I was always there with his teams and stuff. And then my mom's been a coach too, so always been in the gym.
And you're blessed with older brother and sisters who played. How does that affected you, and how did that happen with you?
My sister played college basketball, so I got to go around and watch her play at a bunch of different places. She played at Jackson and then here at SC4, and then actually went down to Tennessee and played. So I've been all over watching college basketball.
How has that helped you?
I've just got to see the level that the girls play at, which is a lot different than high school, but it helps me just know how to play.
Okay. Now you're the point guard, and point guards have certain responsibilities. What do you think is your key responsibility for the team this year?
Just being a leader, you know, when they're not calling out plays, I have to be the one to come up with them and pick which one to run.
So what are some of your strengths as a point guard, do you think?
I can dribble.
Yeah. So
That's all I got.
all I got is dribbling. You can't do anything else?
I would say your toughness, you know where to be. You know, you lead by example out there. You just have to give yourself a little bit more credit.
Yeah, very aggressive.
And how has your game improved since you were a sophomore coming up on the varsity?
I think I've gotten more aggressive. Once Juge came up, she definitely was my partner in crime at getting after people, but yeah.
Well, let's talk to Juliana. So, Juliana, same questions I started with Alexa. How did you get started playing basketball?
I started playing, I think, like kindergarten and biddy ball, and then just have played ever since then.
So what got you into it? Did you have brothers and sisters who played, or your parents played?
My sister played, but not like, she quit in her sophomore year, I think.
Okay. So what do you like about basketball?
I like playing games and playing with my friends and just, you know, being aggressive.
And you're the shooting guard. So what are some of your key responsibilities as a shooting guard on the team?
To make it in the basket.
Yeah. So I always want to,
Points.
because they talk about this a lot when you see a basketball game. Some shooting guard doesn't make her first couple of shots. What do you think when you haven't made your first couple of shots? What do you want to try to do next?
Just take it to the rim and see if I can get some foul shots or some closer, easy layups.
Now you're not the tallest girl.
No.
How tall are you exactly? Like 5'4", maybe?
5'3".
5'3"?
Yeah.
So how do you make that happen? I mean, one of the things that's definitely the case in girls basketball is the girls are getting taller, more athletic. I mean, we've seen a number of girls 6'1", 6'2", already this year. At 5'3", how do you get your shot off?
Usually I just pump fake and then go by them, and I usually get fouled a lot, like swatted. Thrown to the floor.
Okay. So Mia, same kind of question. How'd you start playing basketball?
Just like Lex, I've been playing ever since I could walk. My grandpa's like a legend in St. Clair. Almost everyone knows who that is. And then
Who is Fred Shaw?
yeah, who is Fred Shaw? And then my mom played basketball her whole life. Played at SC4, played D1 at Detroit Mercy, and then she's been pushing me to play college basketball ever since.
What about your brother? And I know your brother was a very good basketball player, Ian, at Saginaw Valley playing baseball. But how did that work out? Did you guys have a lot of competition as you were younger?
Always. We would always go outside and shoot, and he would always push me and bring me into the gym, actually. Like during the summer, he would come in and rebound for me and just be pushing me up the court, back and forth, just yelling at me, and like always with me.
So I just want to know, who wins the games of pig?
Oh, me for sure. Ian doesn't have it. Like, he can drive by me. He can beat me in the paint, but shooting, it's not even a challenge.
So same kind of question I asked Juliana earlier, but at your wing,
Yep.
5'7", give or take,
Yep.
you're playing against some much larger girls than 5'7". Again, as you mentioned, Port Huron Northern, Anchor Bay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep them from getting to the basket?
I just try to stay big, keep my hands up. I have pretty long arms, so try to swat them if I can. But 'cause my feet don't really move that fast, but I try my best.
So, same question I asked Juliana and Alexa. How have you changed from when you started as a sophomore and now as a senior in terms of your game?
My defense has definitely improved, and thanks to him, honestly. Like, I used to just walk up and down the court. Like, I was so slow. I thought I was slow, but this year it turns out I can actually play and get steals and make layups. Like, I never thought I could.
So, very interesting news over Christmas, I believe. You were offered a scholarship at Macomb County Community College. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
It was crazy. We were playing at Wayne State this summer, and he came up to, the assistant coach came up to me after one of our games and just gave me his card and said he was going to invite me to some open shootings in the summer. And so I went to about 5 of those, and I was really interested. I loved all the girls. The coaches were awesome. And he started coming to more of my volleyball tournaments, to some of our games, and finally he just offered me, and I took it right away.
Oh, that's excellent. Did he talk to you about your game and what they like about your game?
Oh, yeah. They really like my attitude, how I'm always, encouraging people, and they love that I just keep shooting no matter what. Never stopping.
Never stop shooting, right? The next one's going to go in.
That's right.
You can't make a shot you don't take,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
So, girls, I'm curious now, talk to Coach Bullard, but from your perspective, how was the start of the season and now you're into the league and you're playing teams that are more your size? Did the start of the season help you think, Alexa?
Yeah, it was a little frustrating because those are teams we've played since we were 10 years old, you
Right.
know? And so it was just a little frustrating to see the final scores, but it definitely showed us now that we're in our league that we can compete and play with anybody.
Right. And now, Juliana, from your perspective, what do you think some of the things the team has to do here in the next couple of weeks in the league season to really be successful?
We need to make a lot of shots and play some good defense and like steal the ball when we can and push up the floor fast and get some easy layups.
Okay. Now, from your perspective, Mia, what are you looking from a personal standpoint? What do you want to do from your own goal standpoint this year?
I want to get better at driving to the hole. I have always been out at the three-point line, and it feels good to finally be able to drive and get into the paint, but I just need to work on my finishing.
So, Coach Mike talked a little bit about some of the things you guys do as leaders. Now, as the seniors, and I know there's a couple other seniors on the team, Carol Donaldson, and we mentioned Savannah Green, but as the tri-captains, what are some of your roles that the coaches want you to do during the game? Alexa?
Well, they want us to talk more. We're not very good at
We're not there yet.
that. But,
Girls not talking? That's really hard to believe.
It's an anomaly.
but we just gotta, we're always aggressive, and I think that shows the other girls to be more aggressive, and we've been seeing them just work on it more and more. Each game, they start to get more aggressive, and I think that's because we set the tone and show them.
So, Juliana, Coach said that one of the things you really bring is kind of a physical attitude, and I know floor burns and so on. How do you try to translate that to some of the sophomores and juniors if that's what they have to do?
Well, at practice, I'm not afraid to tackle them. So they know to tackle me back, and some of them started doing it and making them more aggressive, which really helps our team in games.
And you mentioned something, Mia, that I thought was very interesting, which is got to keep on taking a shot. I know from a lot of basketball players' standpoint, when they miss a shot or two in a row, it's really hard to take that next shot.
Yeah.
So how do you, again, just like I was saying to Julia, how do you translate that to some of the younger girls?
Well, they see me shoot about 10 shots and miss 10 shots, and I'm just like, when we go into the locker room at halftime, I'm like, keep shooting. Like, I know we're missing some, but, you know, they're going to go in. Like, it's going to happen. You just have to keep shooting.
So you guys have probably got an advanced course in Coach Bullard after 3 years of playing for him as starters. So is there any indication, Alexa, that you can tell when he's really not happy? What's the first tell?
Well, when he walks in the gym, usually. It's more telling when he is happy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We know it's a good day when he's cracking jokes in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
So from a leadership standpoint, what has being captain taught you, Mia?
Well, when I was I'm going to tell the story. When I was a freshman, I felt kind of out of place, like, because I was on varsity when I was a freshman, so I felt like I was just like this small, like in my own little world. So I'm really trying to get the younger girls to speak up, you know, be friends with us. Like, we're not just captains, like, we're all friends. Like, we just want to push each other to do our best.
Who's the toughest of the three of you on the younger players, do you think?
Lex.
Why is that, Juliana? Why is Alexa so tough?
She's not afraid to dive after the ball, and
Right.
she's not afraid to push them on the ground and teach them that you got to learn how to play against like bigger teams and better teams. So she'll show them like how to play.
So what do you guys enjoy most about basketball?
I just love the overall game. Like, I just forget about everything when I'm playing. It's like a relaxer.
Juliana?
I like playing in games, like playing with my friends, like I said, and just shooting the ball if it goes in.
How about Alexa?
I like the team. I think it really makes a difference because freshman year, basketball wasn't the greatest, but as we went on, the team has really made a difference, really made me like playing.
Well, that's great. Girls, wasn't that tough, right? You guys all survived?
Yeah.
All right, so Mike, you mentioned beat Centerline last night. Got a really big game coming up against Marine City tomorrow.
Yep.
At their place. What are some of the things you're preparing for with them?
They're gonna be tough. Regardless of who they have on the court, they're gonna bring it at all times. They're not afraid to get on the floor. They're not afraid to bump you, hit you. They're gonna be able to shoot. Their attitude is what they have no matter what. Regardless of their talent, which they usually have, they always have the attitude.
And what are some of the other good teams you think in your league? And I mentioned you've taken that step up from the gold to the gold from the silver. You won silver last year, but now really with a couple of different teams.
You just notice that a lot of the girls at this level, or in this league, they've played a lot more basketball together, and they just tend to be overall, their skill is a lot more. And the team aspect, they're a better team. You know, they can see that they've developed at a younger level. A lot of the teams that we would play against in the silver division didn't always have JV teams. Therefore, some girls are on the varsity as freshmen, other girls, you know, and that's the first time they're getting any experience versus some of the girls coming up through the ranks. So.
Yeah. So what are your goals then for the season? Most coaches set out goals. What are your goals for this season?
Well, at the beginning of every year, our goal is to be better tomorrow than we were today. And if we keep doing that near the end of the season, we'll start obtaining some of our bigger goals, which are obviously to win the league, then we play in the MAC tournament, win the MAC tournament, and then ultimately win districts. And that's something that hasn't been done in St. Clair in a long time.
Well, great job, everybody. Thanks so much for coming in. I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to watching a couple more games here before I'm not here any longer, and then watching them on CTV on YouTube. So that's it for today, everybody. John Carter saying goodbye, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.